Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Donna Thiesel. I'm your host of Donna's Edge Talk Show, where truth matters. You can find us on the radio at ICRadio.media, where we are Fox News affiliates. You can also find us on television, channel 182 on Charter Communications, syndicated on Abundant Television, found on Roku, Apple TV, and Amazon Fire. And please don't forget the podcast, thenewscasters.com. As a matter of fact, author, speaker, attorney Don Brown is with us right now. You've got to get a show on the podcast. You just have to do it, Don, because you're right up the alley of these folks and of me as well. So you got to do it.
Well, yeah, I'd just rather tag on to your rising star, Donna, but thank you very much. I appreciate you.
Yeah, rising star. You know what? I must have more than I think, because let me tell you what happens. So I have a lot of awesome sponsors. They are like tops. They're the best in the world. And so they also pay for us to have like a birthday club, anniversary club, and things like that. And I do these giveaways every single week. So, and I've been doing this for how many years now? Like I'm going on 20 years. 20 years.
Wow. Yeah.
And so the past 2 weeks on Facebook, they stopped me, said I could not post anything else, and I'm spamming people. I've been doing this how long?
Facebook is, we're getting close to the election, and they know it, and they know your voice. And so don't think it's not calculated. It is.
Mm-hmm. Well, it is. Well, anyway, I feel good. I feel good about the election, and let me tell you why. Okay, this is Donna Thiesel here, boots on the ground. I'm here with the everyday person. I see what's going on with the small business owners. I see what's going on with the people in the community. Even the folks who are liberals here are quiet. That tells me something right there. I'm seeing not only Trump signs in yards, I'm seeing Trump huge banners. I'm one of them too. I have this great big huge banner in the front yard. And also we've been going to South Carolina a lot. You know, we're going to be out in that area, around the Anderson area. So all the way from Alabama, I've only seen one Kamala sign. One. And this is even going through Atlanta to get there. That tells me a lot.
Well, it does. Unfortunately, you'll see a couple in South Charlotte, but not all that many. But, you know, there are a lot of tea leaves that are blown in the right direction right now. So we've got another week, and we'll see how it goes. But sharing your optimism, but I'm going to wait till the fat lady sings.
Yeah, you have to. And I feel like the cheating mechanisms are out there. That's just always going to be. Right. But more people have voted early, like us. We're going to be in South Carolina on voting day, so we had to go on ahead and vote early. So I was talking with a person in our DeKalb County area in Alabama, and she said, "We've never had this many." I mean, she said, this is overwhelming us. We've never had this many. So a lot of people are early voting. So do you think the little tactic that the Democrats originated about early voting, do you think it's backfiring on them right now?
I think a lot of things are backfiring on them. I think the idea of letting people in from south of the border has backfired because a lot of those folks are Catholic and don't like the Democrats bull on this social woke stuff. But yeah, I think Trump saw what needs to happen, and he said, bank your vote. And people are mad as hell. Let me tell you, people are mad at these Democrats. They're just, as I said before, they're English-speaking communists. And so, you bank the vote because you don't know what they're going to pull out of their sleeve. So you got to do it. So, yeah, I think it's something that's also beginning to backfire on a little bit. I mean, in most states with early voting, Trump's running. Republicans are running ahead. We know those are Trump votes because they're being fueled by the president's call to vote early. I have a Friday morning, stogie and coffee meeting with some guys over in Rolling Hills Country Club last Thursday and Friday, first day of voting in North Carolina. I left my meeting at about 11 and tried to stop at the one of the volunteer fire departments in Union County, Hemby Bridge. The line was too long. An hour. So I came back the next day, same thing, an hour. I wound up voting in Waxhaw on Sunday and was able to get in. But I mean, people are really steamed up. So, hopefully it will backfire on them. Usually what goes around comes around. It's time for it to come around against the Democrats.
I think so too. My son lives in Raleigh, North Carolina right now. They'll be relocating soon. But he said, it just blew his mind. He said the line was forever long. And so he's one of those, he likes to talk to people. He never meets a stranger. He's one of those. And he said, I was just talking to people in line, and he said there was a black guy behind me, and he said, I had to take a second look. He had a MAGA cap on. Right. And he said, oh, you voting Trump? And he goes, you better believe I am.
You're seeing more and more of that. And you're seeing so much more of that. Trump relates to so many people. It's just an ability to do that. You know, I don't know if you saw the video clips of Trump who went in to these barbershops up there in Queens or Brooklyn, I believe it was. Predominantly black-owned barbershops, and just has an ability to relate like no candidate we've ever seen. Certainly no Republican candidate.
Oh, yeah. I mean, absolutely awesome. So what he does, I mean, they're forgetting. He's like a marketer. This guy knows how to promote. I mean, he's got it. He's got it down. So I think it was a really smart move when he worked at McDonald's I think because Kamala saying I worked at, well, she didn't work at McDonald's, for goodness sakes. But anyway, he goes out there and it's almost like he's always worked there. I just like his mannerisms. And then I like the one girl, is a young girl. And so she had kids in the back. And so she said, oh, there's something about the border. There's something about the border. I hope you get it.
Yeah,
and
right.
I mean, I'm talking people of all ages.
Precisely. Well, you think about it. You said that you're talking about Trump cutting really deeply into the black vote, especially with black males. And when you look at what's happened in New York City, Trump predicted that the mayor would be prosecuted when he started complaining about Biden's border policy, because there's so many illegals, flooding New York City, and it hurts everybody, and it hurts the black population as well. And they're seeing it firsthand. These are Democrat policies, and you can only, you can fool the people only for so long. At some point, people start waking up and say, "Hey, we've been taken for a ride by these shysters called Democrats who will accuse you of what they're guilty of themselves. They're the racists. They accuse us of being racist. They're the racists. They're the ones who've opened the borders. She's the one that can't keep up with her schedule. Says Donald Trump, needs a rest and is ducking interviews. The funniest thing I've ever seen. But they just accuse you of what they're guilty of themselves and lie one in their mouth after the other. And folks are beginning to see it. So good for your son, and good for the young man who was wearing the MAGA cap there. So things are changing, and the demographic alignments that we've seen in politics are beginning to change. And if this keeps it up, sooner or later, most black Americans will understand that the Democrat Party is the party of Jim Crow. It is the party of slavery. It is the party of the Civil War. It is the party that fought against the Voting Rights Acts and all other types of things. And eventually the truth emerges, and I think we're starting to see that happen.
Yeah, but we don't have to do anything. We just have to sit back and let them destroy their own selves, like Kamala. Okay, so she was at an event. 2 Christian guys, young guys, said Jesus is king. Well, then what does she say? She's alienated a bunch of Christians, maybe who are not going to vote, that are going to vote now, because she said, you're at the wrong rally. It's the way she said it. It's
all out down the street. And ha with her, with her little, hyena-like laugh.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, of course, and any Christian, listen to our voices that think your vote doesn't matter. You think twice and get out there and vote and bring your friends and family, because this is an opportunity to put the Democrats to bed for a while. And clearly, she's anti-Christian, just laughing at telling somebody saying Jesus is king, you're at the wrong event. You're not welcome here. Well, she should have said amen to that. He certainly is. But she basically said, get out of here with your pro-Christian views. And that's exactly the way they feel about it in their policy making.
Yes, but what I'm hearing, boots on the ground, Christians who, well, I'm not going to vote, I just don't want to be involved. Now they are, because of what she said. It backfired on her.
Well, and I think that's one of the reasons, this type of thing is one of the reasons you're seeing such a huge early vote out with Republican voters. Here in North Carolina, as of this afternoon, there are 30,000 more Republican early voters than Democrat. And ordinarily, it's 2-1 in favor of the Democrats. Republicans rush on, election day to try to make up the gap. And of course, we've got the situation in Western North Carolina, which is not still fully recovered, and some Democrat election boards are trying to play games with early voting centers up there. But nonetheless, I think this type of thing is driving people to the polls. People are sick and tired and fed up of it. So like we were saying, we're both optimistic. And the Trump strategy is you got to swamp them so much to overcome their cheating, because they're going to cheat. I mean, right now, for example, in Virginia, you have a Biden-appointed judge who has told the state of Virginia, the Commonwealth, of Virginia, that it can't purge 1,500 illegal votes from its voter rolls. So the Biden judge said, you got to keep the illegals on your voter rolls. And the governor is trying to take that to the U.S. Supreme Court. We've seen them filing actions in Texas and Florida and other places where these Republican states are trying to clean their voter rolls, but Democrats are using lawfare still to try and make sure that they have a mechanism in place to cheat. I mean, Virginia could swing Trump's way. You got several states, Donna, that could surprise folks and swing Trump's way. I saw the other day, just yesterday or the day before, that Trump's within 2 or 3 points in Virginia within the margin of error. Of course, Glenn Youngkin won there, and Winston Sears won there. Winsome Sears, I should say. And although you've got a big hurdle to overcome with those communist-infested counties of around Loudoun County and Fairfax County, and Arlington County, which is basically just a bedroom community for the liberals in the deep state, you got to overcome that, but it's still within reach. Mm-hmm. New Jersey could be in reach. Phil Murphy only won that by about 3 points a couple of years back. So they could be in reach. New York, who knows?
Sure did have a big turnout at his event this past weekend.
Sure, and he's forcing the Democrats to play defense where they normally don't play defense. Mm-hmm. But you got to win Pennsylvania. I mean, I saw an analysis. If you take Georgia and North Carolina, which should happen, although Georgia was stolen in Fulton and DeKalb counties before, and the Republican governor and the Republican Secretary of State did nothing about it. Kemp should have called the Georgia's legislature in. That's water under the bridge. But there's heavy Republican vote out down there. So if you win Georgia, North Carolina, you're still going to have to win either Pennsylvania or Michigan. Let me rephrase. If you take Georgia, North Carolina, Arizona, and Nevada, and those are 3 of those 4 states went to Biden before in the last election. Should not have. All 4 should have gone to Trump. You had cheating in Maricopa County. You had cheating in DeKalb and Fulton County. North Carolina won. But if you want to win all the 4 of those states, you're still going to need Pennsylvania or Michigan probably to pull it off. So, we'll see how it breaks, but things are looking better.
I want to talk about your book. And we're happy to talk about it now, right? We're out there, and I'm going ahead and get mine. So let's go ahead and talk about that, and then let's dig a little bit more. So what's it about?
Kangaroo Court. This is a book about political prosecution, just released by Post Hill Press out of New York. Just released this week. It's available on Amazon. The Kindle edition is about to come out soon, but it looks at the history of the Democrats using political prosecutions to gain power. Going back about 30 years, up to and including the last third of the book is about the Trump prosecutions. So I skewer Jack Smith, I skewer Fani Willis, I skewer Alvin Bragg, argue at the end of the day that we need to pass laws to prosecute these rogue prosecutors. But it starts with the Ted Stevens case. Ted Stevens, a senator from Alaska that was politically prosecuted. This case is reversed. It was thrown out, but he lost the election. Democrats grabbed that seat. The case involving Rick Perry, who was the governor of Texas, that got prosecuted by the Democrats for vetoing a bill. Kay Bailey Hutchison, the former Republican senator, the first Republican senator from in the South from Texas, was prosecuted by the Democrats. That was thrown out. The governor of Virginia, the former governor Bob McDonnell, prosecuted by Jack Smith. That was reversed unanimously by the Supreme Court. The same Jack Smith now prosecuting Trump. So Kangaroo Court shows how dirty the Democrats have been for a period of time. The Trump cases have brought all this into focus because of how hard they try to use lawfare to keep him off the ballot. And the book argues, and I've argued it, this is one of the planks that I was running on when I ran for Congress. I would use it again if I ever ran again, is that these political prosecutions attack the U.S. Constitution. So if you're prosecuting somebody because you don't like it, primarily because you're a political opponent, one, you're attacking the First Amendment because you're attacking the free speech of that candidate, in this case Trump primarily, the freedom of association. They prosecuted Roger Stone and Steve Bannon and others because of their association with Trump. You are violating the Fifth and Sixth Amendments when you go after their lawyers. Sidney Powell has been prosecuted. Ray Smith's been prosecuted. Giuliani. When you prosecute Trump's lawyers, you're attacking the Fifth and Sixth Amendment because the attorney-client privilege is rooted in the Fifth Amendment right against self-incrimination and Sixth Amendment right to effective assistance counsel. So when the Democrats attack Trump's lawyers, they're destroying those constitutional protections. And it attacks the 15th Amendment, the 19th Amendment, and the 26th Amendment, all which guarantee the right to vote. So if I'm trying to take Trump or anybody else off the ballot, I'm taking away the right of the people to vote, to choose who I want to choose. And it goes on and on and on. So the argument of the book in Kangaroo Court, and you can find it on Amazon right now, is that these political prosecutions are an attack on the United States Constitution. And the political prosecutions should be outlawed. Jack Smith should be looking over his shoulder at a review committee to determine whether or not these cases are being brought primarily for political purposes. And there's no question that Jack Smith's prosecutions are brought primarily for political purposes, or Fannie Willis or Alvin Bragg or any of them. If they are brought primarily for political purposes, then those prosecutors should be subjected to criminal prosecution themselves on the backside. It's time we recognize it for what it is. It's time to put a stop to it. And Kangaroo Court was written in large part to try to start to bring attention to how serious the problem has been over the course really of 25 or 30 years, even before they started jumping on Trump. So I hope everybody will get a copy of it. We'd like to get about 1 million copies out between now and the election if we can, and it's going to be a quick push. But the book was written in part to help the president, and it's designed to help the president. So just Amazon.com, Kangaroo Court by Don Brown, and you can have yours tomorrow, the next day. And if anybody wants to mail me one and put the postage in there, I'll sign it and mail it back. So
that's what I want to do. I want your signature, because you'll get to the point where you want to. I'll say, Don, can you come on the show, please? And you'll say, Don, I'm just so busy. We're getting movie deals and all this kind of stuff.
Never, ever.
You never know. You never know.
The other way around, Donna. I got bigger fish to put on the air, So.
Yeah, that's never going to happen. You're one of my big fish. You're one of my big fish. I wanted to mention Fannie Willis. First of all, it's Fannie. It's not Fannie. It's
that's right, Fannie. But Trump still calls her Fannie. But you're right, Fannie. But Fannie, if you want to see what Fannie Willis has really been up to, there's an entire chapter on Fannie Willis and her lover Nathan Wade in here. I think that's his name. The book has, let me see how many chapters we got. I should have put my readers on here. The book has 43 chapters, and there's a chapter especially on Fannie Willis and Nathan Wade, and just rips them up one side or the other and exposes her for what she has done. There's a book on the George Floyd chapter on George Floyd prosecutions versus the January 6th prosecutions to show what a crock of hypocrisy that is. And but anyway, I think that it rips Alvin Bragg. It rips this Judge Merchan. I argue that neither Bragg nor Merchan should ever be allowed in the courtroom again, and just goes into a lot of detail on Stormy Daniels and her background. So I would encourage everybody to grab a copy of Kangaroo Court today and ask everybody else to grab one too. It's crucial, not only for this election, but as we move forward and trying to ensure this type of junk stops.
Mm-hmm. And it needs to stop. It needs to stop. Let me tell you something I know. I've got a lot of black friends in Charlotte. One thing you don't do is tick off a black woman. Yeah. You don't do that. So Fannie, whatever you want to call her. I say Fannie. Willis ticked off she was the other woman in the relationship here. Okay. I think that was part of her downfall because that woman was mad.
Fannie Willis should never practice law. This is nothing. The idea that what she tried to do, she tried to, Trump calls Brian, the Secretary of State, Brad Roethlisberger of Georgia, and says, hey, what's going on? Are there any more votes? Can you find some votes? He's trying to ensure, and we know that Georgia got stolen. I mean, there's no question.
We know that.
You may have seen video from the State Farm Arena when they sent all the Republican observers out and started pulling ballots. So we know that. But so she tries to prosecute based upon a phone call. And she goes so far off the range, you go like, Rika. I mean, come on. So then she pays her lover 3 times as much as a special prosecutor than the other 2 special prosecutors combined. That is in the book as well. She should never practice law again. She should never certainly serve as a prosecutor. And the book also goes after the judge down there for not throwing her off the case. That judge should have thrown her off the case. And I criticize the judge in the case because he should have thrown Fannie Willis off the case for a conflict of interest. He didn't actually find a conflict. He found an appearance of a conflict, appearance of impropriety. He said, one of you, Nathan Wade or Fannie, has to step off the case but take your pick. So he was giving her a license to stay on, so he knew Wade would listen. But see, she was the elected official, and she brought about the stenchy corruption that surrounds this competition, this prosecution, I should say. She should have been thrown off the case. And so I go after the judge also for kind of a spineless. I go after a lot of judges in here. I'll probably make a lot of people pretty mad, but that's okay. The truth is the truth. But you cannot allow that sort of thing to go on. These political prosecutions must be brought to an end, dead stop. And these prosecutors have got to understand their consequence if you're going to start attacking people because of their political positions and beliefs. And it's not just politicians being attacked, Donna. I have a chapter in here on a couple of pro-life fathers. There's one pro-life father, Paul Vaughn from Tennessee, who was prosecuted because he believes in life and stood against abortion. Another one, Mark Houck in Philadelphia, was prosecuted. Houck was acquitted. Vaughn was convicted, but they went after the Biden administration, went after these two guys who were peaceful Christians. The only reason the Biden administration went after them is because the Supreme Court reversed Roe. So they went on a warpath, and they went after Christian fathers to prove a political point. Those prosecutors should be prosecuted. These guys are prosecuted only because of their political beliefs. There's another chapter in here about a man named Nathan Mackey, who was a cartoonist, who in 2016, Donna, did this Hillary meme about how dumb her voters were. 2016. 5 years later, when Biden gets in office, the Biden DOJ prosecutes this guy Mackey for a cartoon that he did, which is fully protected by the First Amendment. The only reason they prosecuted him was because his political beliefs offended them. Those prosecutors should see the wrath of the system themselves brought against them because they're using and misusing and abusing their offices for political purposes, and it must come to a stop. So I'm hoping the book Kangaroo Court will be a step in the right direction. Probably took too much time on that, but thank you for the opportunity. These cases are very important to all of us, and we've all got to get educated about them.
And remember, Joe the plumber, who started with Obama, he just simply asked a question. I don't think he was being rude at all. And so they tried to put him out. He passed away, But anyway, they tried to put him. They put him out of business.
Right.
All because he didn't bow to the king.
Right. That's what they do. They use the machinery of government and the machinery of the prosecutorial process to prosecute people. And that's a tyranny. That's tyrannical. That's what they do. I've got a couple of chapters in the book about prosecutions in third world countries, Cambodia, Venezuela, the Soviet Union, Communist China, the Weimar Republic, and Nazi Germany, all prosecute. And we look at prosecutions, political prosecutions, going all the way back to the Roman Republic and the Roman Empire, and they always use conspiracy. Every one of them, from 2,000 years all the way to Jack Smith, conspiracy to fill in the blank. Because when they use conspiracy to prosecute a political opponent, then they can fill in the blank whatever they want to fill in the blank with. And that's what they generally do. And it's got to come to an end.
Even if it makes absolutely no sense and you're caught lying about it. And so many times they have been. They've been caught in so many lies, it's incredible. But what is with people who want to follow along with that? Do they feel like they're going with following the popular crowd? I mean, what's the deal?
Not
doing research, maybe?
I think it's just a total lack of research. I got a call the other day from a friend out in Washington State saying, Don, I'm out here and somebody's ringing up something about They don't know what to do. They're worried about Project 2025, blah, 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 blah. It might do this. It might lead to tyranny, blah, 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 blah. But see, the person asking the question obviously is just very, very ignorant and being fed the propaganda the Democrats want to feed. First off, Project 25 is a Heritage Foundation project. It isn't endorsed by Trump, although I've read it and I think it's pretty darn good, but he hasn't endorsed it. And basically what it is, it's a blueprint to reduce the size and power of the deep state. And that's why that's very much needed. I've been advocating that for some time. But they just blow it up. It'll make them a dictator, blah, blah, blah. When you get to the point, like we are now in this election cycle, where they're saying, Hitler, fascist, Hitler. They've done that. Somebody did an analysis. They've done that just about every Republican candidate, including Romney and McCain and both the Bushes and Reagan. When they get down the end, Hitler, when you start saying, she started this thing, Kamala, oh, joy, Beethoven's Ode to Joy. And people are saying, Trump needs to get on the stick. And they've morphed from that all the way down to he's Hitler. They cannot articulate one reason credibly to support her, and neither can she. And so it's down to hate him, try to villainize him, But see, the country.
It's not working. It's not working.
The country's been through 4 years of Trump. They know it's not Hitler. And by the way, as was pointed out by Mark Levin last night on the show, he did a great job. Madison Square Garden, you had a huge event with Trump just last night, and a whole bunch of Israeli flags interspersed throughout the Madison Square Garden. I don't think Israeli flags would be too pro-Hitler. As a matter of fact, they're just naming a town in northern Israel after Trump, by the way, Trump Heights. And
Heard about that.
exactly. So, but they'll lie because the sad part of this, Don, is there's still so many low information voters in this country that just, turn on CNN or NBC and whatever they say, they pick up and repeat a little bit of it and don't do our homework. We got to know there's a saying that the price of freedom is eternal vigilance. And that's true. It's true now as it was 1,000 years ago. We got to be eternally vigilant. We've got to include our fellow citizens. We've got to encourage, I should say, our fellow citizens into being eternally vigilant because we've got to wake up. A lot of people are waking up. More people need to wake up.
Absolutely. Don, we have to go into a commercial break. Can you believe half the show? We'll be right back in just a minute. Queen City Used Car Sales has been serving drivers in the Northeast Alabama area for years with a quality selection of late model used cars, SUVs, and pickup trucks. On top of our extensive selection and competitive prices, we offer professional auto financing services for used car buyers of all credit levels. Whether you've just begun your search or you're ready to secure your next vehicle, at Twin City Used Car Sales, you will drive away with the vehicle of your dreams. The sales and finance staff at Twin City Used Car Sales looks forward to serving you, and you can apply for financing online before your visit to our used dealership in Gadsden, Alabama. Check us out on the web at twincityusedcars.com or go by our location at 901 First Avenue, Gadsden, Alabama. We sincerely look forward to serving you. At Lamone's Mexican Restaurant, located in Henniger, Alabama, and voted Best Mexican Restaurant of DeKalb County, Alabama 2020, we're here to serve you with authentic Mexican cuisine. Order easily online by going to lamonsmex.com or call 256-657-3999 to place your order. We're open Sunday through Thursday, 11 a.m. to 9 p.m. and Friday and Saturday, 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. Whether you're celebrating a cozy date night for two or a celebration for a crowd, at Lamone's you'll love our atmosphere and friendly servers. Thank you for dining with Lamone's Mexican Restaurant.
Are you ready?
We all wonder what tomorrow will bring. But the future lays itself at the feet of the prepared and surrenders to the will of the persistent. It's not easy, but today shapes you so you can shape tomorrow. With Northeast Alabama Community College, when the future asks if you're ready, you can answer.
Yes.
Begin your future at Northeast Alabama Community College.
Donna's Designs offers a line of handmade memorial, wedding, and keepsake jewelry that launched back in 1970. I'm a self-trained jewelry designer, and I will work closely with you to create unique designs you can love and treasure for years to come. Whether that be flowers that were used in a funeral arrangement or stones you found on the beach at a memorable trip, call me at 256-659-4319, and let's think of the possibilities.
We're back. My name is Donna, and I'm your host of Donna's Edge Talk Show, where truth matters. Thank you so much for watching every day, Monday through Friday, beginning at 1 p.m. And anytime you want to watch on social media, as long as they don't kick me off. So far, I've been on for a month without having an issue. So, maybe things are getting better. I don't know. Maybe they're too busy running after Trump, trying to destroy him. I don't know. They're giving me some relief. But anyway, you can find us any way you like. You can find us on the radio at iacradio.media, where we are Fox News affiliates. You can also find us on television, Channel 182 Charter. You can also find us on Abundant Television, syndicated on Roku, Apple TV, and Amazon Fire. And don't forget the podcast on thenewscasters.com. By the way, on the Newscasters, you're one of the most watched guests I have. They love you.
Is that
And
because
yes.
I might be responsible for you having got kicked off a couple of social media
Oh
platforms?
no, no. This is one media that I don't have to worry about.
Not
I
on
mean,
the
they actually they cheerlead me on. I mean, they're constantly saying, "Keep more of those shows. Keep them going. Keep them going."
I've been reposting some of our clips on Facebook and Twitter, and so far so good, Donna. We'll see. Of course, Elon's going to give us plenty of latitude. Facebook, not so much. There's kind of like Zuckerberg and his commies are kind of like getting the message from the Democrats, and they're shutting some stuff down. But we'll just keep talking, and keep telling the truth, and keep pushing, and let the truth fall where it may.
All right, I got a scenario for you. Okay, when you're the loser and you're running for office and you have like no platform and you're just plain stupid out on the campaign trail. So I'm talking about Kamala, of course. Okay, the only thing that she can really run on is abortion. I mean, that's really it, and I really think that's not all that good because really, I mean, the president has nothing to do with that. When it's cast to the states to make the decision for those things, I don't know why that would even be a platform. But anyway, let's just pretend we have someone who's had several abortions, okay? And so, I'm voting for Kamala because Kamala's going to let me get an abortion. That's about the speed you would hear. Okay, just about that. But then again, this same woman can't make ends meet because we've got this high inflation. She can't buy groceries. She can't pay her rent, house payment, or whatever. Can't drive a car because she has no money for gas. When it comes right down to the nitty gritty of it, is abortion really that big of a deal or feeding yourself?
Well, I've seen polls, Donna. I'm a totem pole guy, and usually I'm at the bottom of the totem pole, but I'm happy sometimes being at the totem pole.
You at the top, bud.
But abortion is down at the bottom of the totem pole, relevant issues. I mean, and what's happened, understand that, the Democrats are following the Saul Alinsky idea of isolate certain groups, throw gasoline on a fire, get them mad, this sort of thing, and try to push that issue to the top. But, the hypothetical woman that you just named, you got to put food on your table, lady. You got to be able to buy gasoline. If you want a home, you got to pay for the mortgage or the rent. And as you pointed out, it is primarily now, first of all, I'm pro-life, 1,000% everywhere. I think the Constitution protects life. And I believe that we need a different process for protecting babies, constitutionally speaking, that fits the other areas of the law where the unborn are protected. But I won't go off on that too much. But it is primarily a state's issue now. It's been pushed back to the states. And so the lady, in your hypothetical letter, let her take that up with her state legislators. But it is not primarily a federal issue. It is in some instances. We got to cut. We shouldn't be spending money on military-funded abortions or anything else, which is a violation of law anyway. The Hyde Amendment, it's primarily under the Hyde Amendment, but it's primarily a state issue. And it's like Clarville famously said, and it's coming back to bite him, it's the economy, stupid. And people know it's the economy. And when Biden, in October of 2020, when he was debating Trump, he said, I'll end the oil and gas as we know it. He wasn't kidding. And that policy is what started the spiral of the inflationary explosion that we've had. Because when you start ending pipelines and canceling leases and force a higher dependence on foreign oil, you drive up prices. You drive up prices for the truckers. The truckers have to take it to Harris Teeter or Albertsons or Food Line or whatever your local grocery store is in your area. And they got to charge more. And then the grocery store's got to charge more for bacon and eggs and everything else and bread. And it goes on and on and on and on. But it's because of the attack on oil and gas. So the Democrats will look for any issue they can to try to light a fire under and blow gasoline on it. But Trump is doing exactly what he's doing. He's staying on point very well. People are saying, can he just stay on point? He's staying on point. It's about the economy. It's about immigration. It's also about the national debt and some other things as well. You talk about, Kamala. She's a one-trick pony. The only thing she can say, she give word salads. What could have been, and what can be, but we can be brave enough to, whatever. Word salad. She doesn't answer a single question. She was 15 minutes late for her interview with Bret Baier. She cut it 10 minutes early. So you got about 30 minutes in. Now you compare and contrast that with, I watched all 3 hours of Trump's interview with Joe Rogan. And what I want to say to you, Donna, is my respect for the president has always been very high. It's off but it went way off the charts in a positive way after seeing that man's command of knowledge and history and science and construction. He goes from talking about 12 rebar concrete to protect nuclear reactors, looking at the French example of small nuclear reactors bring nuclear energy here. He goes from there to talk about the history of the of the depression suffered by Abraham Lincoln and Mary Todd Lincoln over the loss of Tad Lincoln, how the Lincoln bed was like 6'6", and how Lincoln had a complex. He couldn't beat Robert E. Lee. The man has a command of history. Then he went into talking about the history of William McKinley, who was, of course, assassinated. He was a big terror proponent. There was a blue ribbon panel on what are we going to do with all this money. And by the way, did you realize, Donna, that during the Industrial Revolution in the United States, really from the 1860s, 1870s, all the way up to the 1910s, all that was done without an income tax system. The only income the government had was tariffs and excise taxes. But Trump was able to go into significant detail on multiple issues. And this starts talking about to Joe Rogan about some UCF wrestler that I wouldn't know who they are, but his command of so many subjects, his mastery of subjects, his ability to carry on a conversation in a very polite and engaging manner for 3 hours was beyond impressive. I had a waitress friend of mine the other day who's a Democrat, love her to death. She's a Democrat. She called. She said, oh, I can't vote for him. He said the country's garbage. I said, what are you talking about? Garbage. Did you hear him say that? No. I said, did you listen to his interview with Rogan? No. Somebody said that he said that, and they jump on one little thing and go berserk. It's maybe it's like your sister that you've mentioned before. I don't know. Don't mean to open a can of worms. But his ability to command so many subjects and be so accurate and so sharp. We don't know how lucky we got if this guy gets another.
And quick response. I'm talking quick. He doesn't even have to think about it. He just does it.
No word salads, no nothing, no this, no that. He's personable. He's knowledgeable. He's smart. He's bright. And, Joe Rogan was asking about nuclear energy. Is it really dangerous? And Trump says, they try to say it's climate change. The real danger is nuclear war, which I've been trying to prevent. But as far as reactors go, he likes the French model. They're embracing smaller reactors and getting them out there. And his command of a subject matter on the spot, on just about anything, is beyond amazing. And I would, does anybody out, listen, if there's anybody in your audience that's thinking, has decided, go find that Joe Rogan interview and spend 3 hours if you want to. And if you still can't decide what you want to do, again, before you go to the polls, go to the gas tank and to the gas station and fill up. Go to the grocery store, pay for your groceries, check the price of bacon and eggs versus 4 years ago, and then decide who you're going to vote for. You will know what to do.
Another thing I like about Trump is he's so versatile. So he does this huge interview, and he also goes to McDonald's and works there for a little bit. Yeah.
Well, of course, he loves McDonald's. He had the Clemson football team. Clemson won the national championship. You'll be in Clemson territory. And I'm a big Dabo Swinney fan. I'm a UNC grad, but a big Dabo Swinney fan. Matter of fact, I talked to Dabo at one time about doing his bio. And Coach, if you're listening to me, I still love to do it. We can follow up Kangaroo Court with Dabo Swinney's bio. You hear that, Coach?
Absolutely.
The coach.
I'll see if I can make that happen.
Well, I would love to do it. And I became a Dabo fan when he was baptizing his players in the end zone.
Oh yeah. Uh-huh.
And ACLU wanted to go after him. The university backed him up. I don't know if they still would. But Coach said at the time he was too busy with his team to do a book. But I hope to be the guy to do Dabo's book. But anyway, you're coming to South Carolina, and you're going to kind of see what it's like there. I think so. What was I talking about? You remember, Donna? Before I go,
we're talking about McDonald's. McDonald's,
yeah. So the Clemson won the national championship in football. So Trump has them up to the White House. So Trump buys them all Big Macs and all McDonald's. The whole team sitting there eating the fries at McDonald's. He loves McDonald's. And I think, he's there working. He's working in a place that he really loves. And you can kind of tell it. And he caught on pretty quick. And those were just
remarkable. He was handling the customers like I would want an employee to. I mean, it was just awesome.
2 strokes of marketing genius within a couple of days. That McDonald's thing, which really set the left off. Boy, they were mad about that. But because it's so effective, that's why they were so mad.
Well, Kamala made it happen by lying, by saying she worked at McDonald's.
Of course. And, McDonald's is trying to be a little politically correct, but they have said we can't find any records. That's their way of saying, she didn't do it, but they can't find any records. If they found records, they would have produced the records probably. Yeah. But they couldn't find any. And obviously, because I doubt that she's worked a day in her life outside of, how she came up. She was a friend of Willie Brown's, you know what I mean? Yeah. A very good friend of Willie Brown, as I understand. and from being her strong friendship with Willie Brown.
They used to call, I'm sorry, I hate to be so vocal, but they used to call that prostitution.
You can say that better than I can say it, Donna. But yeah,
I knew you're kind of getting there. I thought I just
I was trying to draw it out of you. I was trying, and it worked, so that's good. But and I don't look down on her for having to take the bar a number of times. By the grace of God, I passed 2 bars the same week. But that was only by the grace of God. I had people ranked higher than me in law school who did not pass the bar. So I don't knock anybody for not passing the bar, but I think it took her 3 or 4 times. And then the DA position is politically, political patronage, because she was friends with Willie Brown. And one thing leads from there. So I haven't seen any evidence of any real, intellectual depth at all or command of history. She grew up in Canada. She went to high school in Canada. She wasn't. But
she was lower middle class. I'd like to be that kind of middle class with the kind of castle they lived in.
Yeah, exactly. Well, they'll say anything.
For God's sakes.
Yeah, this is probably the dumbest candidate in my lifetime.
I something, Don. I'm going to miss it. I won't have anybody to make fun of anymore.
Let's hope. Let's hope. Go right ahead.
Starbucks. I know what you can do.
That's right.
This is what you can do, Starbucks, because I get lipstick on the white cap right there.
Right.
Do it in black.
Yeah, that's right. It would work.
So yeah, I'm gonna miss that, but not enough to lose the country over.
Well, I don't have to worry about lipstick on my Starbucks, despite what the Democrats are pushing. I'm not buying their sauce. You know what I mean? Probably made a bunch of Democrats mad on that one too.
Oh, and that's another thing. Okay, so a hurricane hits. Okay, and I have questions about this. I know I'm wearing a little tinfoil hat here, but I have questions about how it skips over some parts of the country and just plows in, because it's not a tornado, it's a hurricane. Right. And how it just does its thing in Asheville. But I know a lot of liberals in Asheville.
Sure.
And I think this has changed them. I really do. Because of what happened. Because of they're not getting the things they need. But then yet, all this money is being funded to other countries. And here, some folks in our own country are suffering right now. Right,
exactly. I hope that it changes the makeup of Asheville. As I mentioned, I think even on your show, when I was growing up as a kid in North Carolina, Asheville was the most, reliantly Republican town in the state. And the liberals have moved in from the Northeast and San Francisco and changed all that. But if you don't see the failure of the federal government up close and personal, and the result in the wake of that storm, you're blind. The one organization that's been the most helpful in Western North Carolina is a North Carolina-based organization, and that's Samaritan's Purse. And God bless Franklin Graham. I gave him a couple of bucks the other day. I wish I'd have been able to give him more. But they have been more on hands and better at responding to the people in their hour of need than anyone. And the thing that's so infuriating about it, I think I mentioned to you, I wrote a published op-ed in American Thinker a couple of weeks ago called "The Democrats' War on Western North Carolina," and I encourage anybody to go look that up. Democrats' War on Western North Carolina, American Thinker. Biden could have had the 82nd Airborne and the 101st Airborne. He could have had 50 Chinook helicopters in there the morning after the storm, dropping in water, dropping in medicine, dropping in generators, dropping in supplies, and picking up people that need to be picked up. He waited at least a week, created the vacuum, went to the beach, I guess, or wherever he was, and did not lift the finger to do anything. And those 25 counties in North Carolina have been the most solidly red section of the state going back for decades. As a matter of fact, as I pointed out in the op-ed, of the last 14 presidential elections, going all the way back to 1968 with Nixon and Humphrey, 21 of those 25 counties have gone Republican in every election, and 12 out of those 14 elections, the Republicans have won North Carolina. So I don't think North Carolina is as purple as the left might want you to think. Now, it's dangerous with all these liberals coming to Charlotte and Raleigh for sure. But if a Democrat candidate has a chance of winning North Carolina, you got to cut the votes in the western part of the state. And call me like we use the phrase tinfoil hat in another show, but call me suspicious. But I don't think Biden's failure to act quickly was a coincidence at all.
No, I don't either. Let me ask you another question, because they have tried everything. They've tried to destroy Trump in more ways than we know. I mean, 2 assassination attempts that we know of. I feel like there's been more. We just don't know about it. But, okay, so the election is coming up. It's going to be here just a few days. They have to be running like rats in a ship. They have to be right now. Chaos, I'm pretty sure, is all over. Could World War III break out? I mean, what is up their sleeve?
Well, I think they would welcome that. They are the party of neocons. They've got Dick Cheney on board now, neocon. Biden has thrown billions and billions and billions into Ukraine. They've talked about, sponsoring NATO membership for Ukraine. They poke the bear left and right. If you start a war, well, number one, that feeds the military-industrial conflict that Eisenhower warned against. And you create chaos, and you create an excuse for all types of things, whether it's martial law, perhaps, or moving voting deadlines around. Chaos is what the Democrats thrive under. Like Axelrod said, or someone said, never let a good crisis, go unnoticed. Always take advantage of crisis. And they create crises. They'll set the fire and then pour gasoline on the fire and claim that the gasoline is the water. So you could see World War III. I mean, somebody said there were 180 Israeli warplanes over Iran the first day of the strike back, and Israel should have struck back. But Putin is saying this is the type of thing that could have a domino effect, and could very, very well happen. And so I think that the Democrats is a warmongering party. It was the Democrat Party that got us into Vietnam, the Gulf of Tonkin resolution. It turned out to be fake. There was no attack on our destroyer on August 4th of 1964. They used a fake claim. And we know this because Robert McNamara in his book, The Fog of War, admitted that it never happened, who was the Secretary of Defense at the time. But the Democrats used that false narrative to get us into Vietnam. Of course, Bush got us into Iraq unnecessarily. So it isn't just the Democrats, but they are all part of the deep state, the part of what, Bush 41 called a New World Order, or a 1,000 points light or whatever. So, yeah, to your question, I think, a number of them, and some Republicans too, would be okay with it. It would create chaos. And if war does break out, do you want her sitting in the White House? I mean, if we get into a war, you want her sitting in the White House? That's
no.
Your name
a resounding no. A resounding no.
Think about that. If a war breaks out and she's the commander-in-chief, cackling and, splurting word salads, you got to have decisiveness, and you got to have somebody that's sharp and commands respect. And the reason, we have a war in Ukraine is because Biden-Harris commands zero respect. And the reason you had October 7th last year, it's the same reason. It's a jelly spine, weak administration. And Netanyahu just said a couple of days ago, after the retaliation against Iran, we are not going to let the United States tell us what to do. He wouldn't have said that if Trump had been president, because he got too much respect for Trump to say that. But it's a reflection of how these Democrats are trying to put a bridle on the Israelis, even though they've been attacked and attack some more. So,
well, kids that are raised in, say, God-fearing homes where they know that, they might get a spanking if they do something wrong, they will at least think twice before they do something they shouldn't do. But now kids who are raised in homes where just you're free to be you, whatever sex you decide you want to be, there are no consequences. So the other parts of the world feel like, no, there are no consequences. You can do whatever the heck you want to do.
Exactly. That is exactly right. And Biden's, he's in bed with enemies of Israel to a large degree. It's okay. You come in and you slaughter all these Jews on the 7th of October and then don't go in. They have tried to put reins on Israel and striking back from the very beginning, ever since the initial attack. And there's one nation in the Middle East that's traditionally been a democracy that's been a staunch ally of the United States ever since its inception. The only one that's ever been an ally of the United States since its inception, in this case in 1948, since it was conceived and recognized by the United Nations, and first by the United States, God bless Harry Truman, is Israel. Every one that we've been at odds with in one way or the other, and all of them have been at war and at odds with Israel one way or the other. And do you remember it was the Arabs that engaged in this oil embargo in '73 to try to bring the U.S. to its knees economically. So, but the Democrats are in bed with the wrong side in every case, it seems like.
Absolutely. Then we have the rhinos. You know, Liz Cheney, who listens to her? I mean, really think about this. Okay, so let's say I'm an undecided vote. I don't have enough brains to think for myself. I watch the news media all the time, and I can't think. Okay, but then Liz Cheney gets out there, and she's helping Kamala run. Is that going to change your mind? I mean,
to put it in perspective, Wyoming has one congressman. Dick Cheney was the congressman there. Liz Cheney was the congressman. When she got in bed with the Democrats on this joke of a January 6th committee, she was primaried and beaten by something like 80 to 20%. It was the biggest beatdown in the history of a sitting congressman within their own party. That shows what a joke she is. But Dick and Liz Cheney are part of the military-industrial complex. They're upset because Trump wants to end the war in Ukraine and cut the foreign aid spending. You know, I was with some guys the other night, and we were talking about, you know, ways to cut the budget and reduce the deficit. And somebody said, well, the military budget. I said, listen, it's not a military budget. It is the foreign aid budget. I mean, we spent more money on Ukraine the last couple of years than we have on the U.S. military budget. And that's just in one country. And it's the foreign aid that's got to go first. It's got to be cut. But that is exactly what Trump realizes when he tells NATO, you got to pay for your own or I won't defend you. That goes against everything the Chinese and these New World Order rhinos and neocons stand for. And that's why they hate him so much. John Kelly's in the same boat. General Milley's in the same boat. There are a bunch of these Obama-appointed generals that are in the same boat.
Mm-hmm. And then we have folks that, and I know some in this area too, they'll say, well, no, Donna, gas prices are going down. But this, and then I have to say, how much did gas cost per gallon when Trump was president?
Exactly. And why do you think gas prices are going down at the moment?
But they're still not down as low as they were when Trump was president.
Exactly. They're well over $1.50 more even now. And you think,
but it's going down, Don. It's going down.
And it's happened every time they try to reelect the incumbent. But where were gas prices when Trump was in office? Ask him, hey, are your bacon prices going down? Are your eggs going down? Is your bread going down? You know, are your lima beans going down? Is your steak going down? Ask them that question. How about the cost of housing? How about interest rates? How are they doing? You know, so it's an artificial reduction right before the election to try to keep the party in power. In other words, if Kamala were to somehow win the election, you watch what would happen to gas prices within a week after that. Boom, exactly. Because see, think about this. They need exorbitant gas prices so they can argue for their electric vehicles, which of course you got to have coal, you know, to power the electricity. So
Which is what? Help me think, okay? Because I don't have a brain. I can't think on my own.
Right, exactly. So the war on oil and gas is going to not only continue, but it's going to be revved up. Their goal is to end gasoline-powered engines. The reduction in gas prices is only to keep them in power. But still, it's not where it was when Trump was there, and it won't be there.
Never.
And they've already said they want to end oil and gas. They will continue to try to do that. Matter of fact, in California, the idiot Democrats out there have mandated all electric cars within the next 5 or 6 years. I'm trying to remember the target date. But if you're in California, you won't be able to drive a gasoline-powered car. That's how crazy and radical these people are. Now, think about if you're in Florida or Western North Carolina when a hurricane starts coming in, and the only way you can get out of there is with an electric car, and your battery's down. What are you going to do? You know, as a matter of fact, there have been times in the past, and I don't have a problem with Teslas and electric cars. I mean, if I was wealthy enough and I wanted to have one to putt around Union County and Charlotte.
You could buy one for me if you wanted to.
Yeah, right. You know, you putt around back and forth, but I don't want that as my. That'd be more like, you know, when I was a kid, I was in the 3rd grade. My granddaddy bought me a go-kart. You know, I'd drive around the parking lots and drive around the neighborhood. It was a lot of fun. But electric powered car would be nothing more than that, just something to play with. But you've got to get going. You got to have petroleum, And you're not saving the environment because it's taking you're burning coal, to put in the air to build the batteries and to power the cars. You strip them out on the side of the mountain to get the lithium, and you're burning coal to power the electricity to charge your batteries. But hey, don't tell a liberal that. You're just going to make them mad because you're hitting them with facts again. They don't want to hear any facts.
Oh, it blows their mind. Okay, now you know how I love my tomato sandwiches.
Yeah.
And I hate mayonnaise except on a tomato sandwich, and I will glop it on for a tomato sandwich with a lot of salt and pepper and that kind of stuff. Okay, if you're liberal, okay, and you really believe plastic is the way to go and not glass, would you please demand that mayonnaise, Duke's mayonnaise, I love my Duke's, okay, Duke's mayonnaise needs to be in a glass jar, not a plastic one.
Agreed.
For the love of God, please.
Agreed.
Let's put it in glass.
Hey, I'm with you on that,
Okay, I got to ask you about, Mike Pence, what is wrong with him?
He's weak and he's bitter and he's politically irrelevant and he's having trouble grasping that. That's what's wrong with him. He was always weak and bitter. And whatever he took on the day that he stepped in to certify an election that should not have yet been certified because there were too many questions. He took some sort of coin from Nancy Pelosi or something, and they did a kind of a fist bump or something. That scene in and of itself is all you probably need to know about Mike Pence. He comes out and he lies. He tries to run against Trump, and we wouldn't know his name if it weren't for Trump. And he lies.
Dumb.
On that day, the president asked me to put the Constitution over himself, which is absolute lie. Trump never asked Pence to do that. That was Pence's spin to try to protect himself politically. The Constitution does specifically address the procedures that a vice president sitting over the Electoral College should follow. We do know that Richard Nixon in 1961, after the election of 60, had two sets of electors from Hawaii and chose one over the other. So there was historical precedent for a vice president dealing with alternating set of electors. Mm-hmm. Now what the Democrats do is they prosecute you if you send an alternate set of electors, because that's what they do. Even though there's no crime against it, they do it anyway. But Pence is a self-absorbed weakling who should be ashamed of himself for the way he turned on his president. If he had a legitimate constitutional disagreement with the president, what I should have said. But to say that the president asked me to put the Constitution above himself, I mean, he's a weak wimp, and he'll never serve in office again. And now the best he can do, I wouldn't be surprised, Mark this, Donna, to see Mike Pence on CNN at some point or some left-wing network, because that's the only work he can get.
Why not? Yeah, that would probably work. But wasn't he, help refresh my memory. Okay, so when he was running for president against Trump, wasn't he the first one kicked off, kind of like Kamala was the first one off the stage?
He was
first?
He was one of the very first ones to go because he was getting zero support at all. Zero. I mean, people lost respect for him. And certainly conservatives and Republicans lost respect for him. What do you think you're going to do? You're going to turn your eye to a blatant election steal and fist bump with Nancy Pelosi and take some coin from her and then say that Trump asked you to put himself under the Constitution, which is an absolute lie. You expect you're going to need support from Republican voters? You got another thought coming there, pal. Ain't going to happen.
Stick a fork in him, he's done. Don, we're going to have to call it a day. Right. I'll tell you what, I do support you. I really do. And people have to buy this book. So tell folks how to get it again.
The book is Kangaroo Court. Go to Amazon.com, type in Kangaroo Court by Don Brown. This book is an important message for this election and even for beyond. We got to get about 1 million copies out. Please go to Amazon, order KangarooCourt.com, Kangaroo Court at Amazon.com. You'll have it within 48 hours. If you want me to autograph it, mail it to me with some stamps. I'll put it back in the package and sign it for you. Thank you, Don.
Okay. All right. Send me your address so I can mail you a check, because I want your signature. It's going to be worth a lot. Actually, I want 2 of them because I'm going to sell one on eBay. I will make a fortune just by having this.
You go on Amazon. I couldn't even get you a check. You just go on Amazon and they'll have to do it within 48 hours. That's the biggest way.
Okay. Don, again, thank you so much for being with me.
Thank you, Don.
And I'll see you next week right after the election. I can hardly wait. We're going to have a lot of good stuff to talk about.
We will. Thank you, Donna.
And thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you have a super duper awesome rest of the day.